All right, everyone. I think we can go ahead and get started. And if anyone else joins, we can just add them in.
Okay, are you gonna you just tell me when you want me to introduce the dog.
That's okay, Marcia. Yeah, you can go ahead and introduce her, do a little close up, just so the people who just joined can see her. A little puppy time.
Everybody, this is Kyrie. She's 4 months old and she came from the Central Valley. She was a stray. Not anymore. And she came in with another little dog who's a little shy. But this is it, 4 months old and just wants to sit on your lap.
I like the mohawk you're giving her.
Like I said, I think it would be really cool if I can kind of like use pink food coloring. But we're gonna leave her. She's going in to be spayed today.
I have a feeling Kyrie will find a home for the holidays.
Well, our foster wants to adopt her along with many other people. So there's a list that wants this dog. So she's definitely not going to be here long at all. She'll be out within probably the next day or two.
Yeah.
Definitely in her forever home by Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, just a little puppy time to start us off, and then now we can move to Al. Not nearly as cute as the puppy, but.
You didn't have to say that, Jacqueline. I think everybody knew that, but thank you for that anyway. It's good to be humble. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. Yeah, my job today is to do a couple things. One is to thank all of you. I think everybody's already a supporter of Pets in Need. In some cases, long-standing supporters of Pets in Need, and we appreciate that. So one of my jobs is to thank all of you on behalf of everybody at Pets in Need for your support. I think everybody who supports Pets in Need knows this, but the vast majority of the operations at Pets in Need, and now that's at both shelters, our Palo Alto operation and Redwood City, are supported by private donations, bequests, private gifts that come in from individuals. And that we literally would not be able to do what we do in either shelter if it weren't for the support that we receive from the general public. And so that was one part of my responsibility today. The other part is to just give you a brief list of the kinds of things that your dollars are supporting. And I want to point out that the activity at Pets in Need, operations in general, really at both shelters, we had some starts and stops over the past 9 months or so because of COVID. But when I look at in totality since the beginning of the calendar year, we really haven't stopped our operations. We haven't diminished our operations at all. We ended the last fiscal year, which ended on April 30, with a little over 2,100 adoptions. That was the largest number of adoptions in the history of the organization. So that was through April 30. Then, we had the pandemic hit. We had some weeks where we were shut down or dramatically reduced our operations, but we still continue to do adoptions. We still continue to do rescue runs as part of the sort of the response to COVID. While we were diminishing the regular operations that we normally run, we instituted a program called the Emergency Assistance Program, because what we were finding is pretty quickly people were calling saying, I've lost my job, I've got real serious financial situation, I've got to seriously consider giving up my pet because I'm struggling financially. So we instituted the Emergency Assistance Program, where we were providing and continue to provide direct financial support for people that have pets that are needing to get medical conditions, medical issues addressed, or we're providing in-kind support in the form of food or other supplies for people. So we allocated $25,000 in the budget for the Emergency Assistance Program, initiated in the middle of in March, and thought, well, that'll last, probably 5 or 6 months or so. Well, that lasted about 3 weeks. And since then, I'll fast forward to the end. So program started in around the middle of March. Through October, we've spent almost $350,000 on the Emergency Assistance Program. So that'll give you a sense about the scope. So that was an important element or addition to the Pets in Need array of services. We also, as we moved into the summer, we continued to be committed to bringing in rescuing kittens, including neonatal kittens. So these are kittens that are about 3 weeks old or younger. Very high labor intensive activity taking care of these guys. And we not exactly sure what the number was, but we saved hundreds of kittens across both shelters this summer through Save Our Kittens. We had also instituted about a year or so ago a program called Cause for Big Paws. So the organization was committed to the young kittens in particular, young ones especially, and large dogs are the two populations that historically are euthanized more frequently than any other population of animals in shelters, particularly municipal shelters that have resource issues. So the organization, we've always been an organization that focuses on, doing heavy lifting. We're not interested in doing the easy stuff. So we committed resources to the kittens and continued this past summer, and we continue to commit resources to our Cause for Big Paws program. And we've saved hundreds of large dogs, and the population, if you looked at Pets in Need about a year and a half ago, and then looked at the animal dog population about a year and a half ago, and then looked at our population now, you'd see this pretty stark difference. The dog population of both of our shelters, Palo Alto in particular, are primarily larger dogs that we're trying to get into homes. A lot more expensive, a lot more effort, but that's the commitment on behalf of the organization, and we're going to continue to focus on those populations. So those are, I think, the highlights of what we've done over the past several months or so, and the idea was to just give you an idea about the depth and breadth of the programs. We're not in hibernation. The staff has been amazingly creative in coming up with programs, different ways. We're doing remote adoptions using foster families. We probably tripled the number of foster families we have. We have significantly more animals in foster care now than we do in our 2 shelters. So I guess what we've done is we've been very creative and innovative in continuing to forward the mission of the organization, despite the impediments that we've experienced with the pandemic. So it's to the credit of our wonderful staff and our volunteers that we haven't really had to miss a beat over the past several months. So hope that didn't take too long. That's a summary of where we are with Pets in Need. We continue to move forward with the commitment to the kittens, and now the kitten season's over, to the large dogs, and continue to save as many animals as possible from the Central Valley. We are providing more financial support and resources to partner shelters, and I think that's probably going to be the model for Pets in Need as we move forward. So there's a summary. Thank you so much for supporting all that. As I said earlier, we would not be able to do any of that work if it weren't for your financial support. So thank you all. And now my last job is to introduce Jamie Downs. Jamie is not only a longtime PIN volunteer who came to Pets in Need from, I guess Angela was the one that introduced Jamie to us. She's also the Associate Director of Plan Giving at Stanford. And Jamie, you're going to talk to us a little bit about the mutually beneficial benefits of Plan Giving, right?
I am. So it's a great transition. Thanks, Al. just a little, and Jacqueline, would you mind pulling up the slides real quick? Excellent. All right, let's get started. So if you want to flip to the next slide, perfect. Just a quick introduction about me. So as Al already mentioned, I am an attorney by training. I am Associate Director of Plan Giving at Stanford currently. I am the mother of a rescue pup, Penelope, who's pictured right in her Zoom attire. And I am a passionate pets in need supporter. So I've always been a huge animal lover. Before I moved to the Bay Area, I volunteered with 2 animal rescue organizations in Chicago and Michigan, Paws Chicago and the Humane Society of West Michigan, where I served on their board of directors. And we actually rescued Penelope, who's only 2.8 pounds, from Paws in 2012. As Al mentioned, I was connected to Pets in Need through a colleague, Angela Young, who's also a very great volunteer for Pets in Need. I was looking to become engaged in a local no-kill shelter, and it just so happened that Pets in Need was right down the street from my office. After meeting with the incredible staff and volunteers, I knew immediately that this is where I want to volunteer my time. As Al highlighted, PIN is really doing remarkable work for our community. But for organizations like PIN, I don't know where animals like Penelope would be, and frankly, I don't know where I would be without a dog like her. Our pets bring so much joy into our lives, and there's one positive thing that's come out of the pandemic. It's spending more time with them at home. She's so spoiled now. So anyways, enough about me and on to today's presentation. I'm going to do a very high-level discussion about plan giving and more specifically charitable bequests. So let's advance to the next slide, please. So what's plan giving? In a real simple nutshell, it is a future gift to charity made through financial and estate plans. So you may hear plan giving also referred to as gift planning or legacy planning, but today we're going to cover just the bread and butter of plan giving, which is charitable bequests. So let's dive in. What's a charitable bequest? You can think of a charitable bequest as a gift made at your passing, either through your will, your trust, or a beneficiary designation. So just to cover some estate planning 101 terminology, let's talk about what a will is. A will is a legal document that in part spells out your wishes for the distribution of your assets at your passing. This is probably the most commonly referred to estate planning document. You'll hear a lot of people say, in my will, you need to create a will. This is what we most typically think of as an estate planning document. A trust, or specifically a living trust, is a legal document to hold title to various assets during your lifetime in trust, and also to spell out how you would like those assets distributed after you pass. So 2 of the most widely known benefits of a trust are avoiding probate and assuring privacy. And a beneficiary designation is a description of a person, persons, or organizations you want to receive a particular asset after your passing. So as an example, you can put a beneficiary designation on a bank account. This is commonly known as a transfer on death or pay on death, TOD/POD designation. And you can name primary and secondary beneficiaries of those accounts. So primary beneficiary is the first person or persons or organizations to receive an asset. And if not those people or those organizations, then the secondary beneficiary will receive the distribution. So next slide, please. So how to make a charitable bequest through a will, a living trust, a beneficiary designation. The truth is it's very, very simple. To make a charitable bequest via a will or living trust, you simply include language in your document to direct a specific amount or a percentage to a charitable organization. So this can be done in a few ways. At the onset, when you create the document, when you sign a new will or trust agreement, or by an amendment to your trust or a codicil to your will. And a codicil is just simply an amendment to your will, just an update. As an example, the language can be as simple as I designate $10,000 to Pets in Need to support its charitable purposes. Alternatively, you can designate a charitable organization as the beneficiary of a retirement plan, a life insurance policy, or another financial account. So with our increasingly virtual world, you can often change a beneficiary designation form from the comfort of your own home by just logging onto your account online. That plan administrators do have their own beneficiary designation forms to complete. So if you aren't sure, the easiest step and the first step you should take is contacting your plan administrator or your financial representative to ask. So you can if you have an account at Chase and you aren't sure how to change your beneficiary designation, just call your local bank branch and ask to speak with the banker, and they'll certainly be able to direct you to the form. If you do have a donor advised fund, remember that you can name one or more beneficiaries to receive the balance of your account after your passing. This is an important detail that's commonly missed. A lot of times the custodians, so we're talking about like the Fidelity Charitable, Schwab Charitables of the world, don't discuss this with their clients, and you do have a donor advised fund. Quite a bit of money can pool in those accounts over the years, so naming a beneficiary is very, very important. Following our presentations, some of our friends at Pets in Need will send out a few simple tips on how to make a charitable bequest, including sample language for Pets in Need. And then just a real quick tip, it's never a bad idea to review your papers and your beneficiary designations from time to time to make sure that they accurately reflect your current wishes. When I was practicing as an estate planning attorney, I would tell clients to dust off their estate planning binder, every couple of years, review it, see if their circumstances have changed or if their wishes for their estate have changed, and to just scan it over and then to make updates at that time if necessary. It's very, very easy to let those papers sit for decades really, and then to think, oh shoot, it's been too long, I really need to update that. So just take a look at them every few years if you do have those papers. So next slide. So why make a charitable bequest? Well, there's a hint. There are many, many good reasons, but today I'm just going to cover a few of the big ones. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to read this quote out loud that I took from the Pets in Need website. So when you include Pets in Need in your estate plan, you are investing in our future and saving the lives of thousands of animals in the process. So this is really the biggie, right? It's the legacy. A bequest is a lovely way to leave a lasting legacy at an organization that you love, like Pets in Need. Bequest funding is critical to the well-being of charitable organizations. I see this firsthand at Stanford. These dollars are so valuable to supporting the mission of these organizations like Pets in Need. Bequests are also wonderful because they're simple. Simplicity is great. We love simplicity these days. As we discussed just a few minutes ago, leaving a bequest to charity often means just leaving a few sentences in a document or completing a simple beneficiary designation form. Flexibility, this is another big too. Charitable bequests are flexible and easy to update. If you include a charitable bequest and your circumstances later change, you can revoke the bequest just as easy in a subsequent will, codicil, trust amendment, or new beneficiary form. Another benefit is you retain control and use of the asset during your lifetime. So you don't part with the asset today, you part with it after your passing. So if your circumstances do change and a family member or another loved one needs a portion of the charitable bequest, you can change it. You stay in control. And then tax benefits. So I won't get into nitty-gritty of taxes today. That would take up a whole presentation. But charitable bequests can be a powerful tool to reduce an estate tax burden if there's a concern. So the federal estate tax exemption is very high right now. It's at historic levels. It's about $11.58 million per person, but that could be reduced in the future. So in general, there is an unlimited deduction of charitable bequests against the value of an estate. So if there are tax benefits that you'd like to consider, it's never a bad idea to check in with a financial advisor or your accountant to discuss how a charitable bequest could potentially help you to reduce an estate tax burden. And so I don't want to spoil any surprises, but Jacqueline will also announce another very exciting reason to consider a charitable bequest to Pets in Need shortly. And so that's kind of the bread and butter of charitable bequests, making them by an estate planning document or a beneficiary designation. It is very simple. Like I said, it just usually takes a few sentences, directing it to the charity and just making sure that you've reviewed your papers and that your intentions are correctly documented. So I think now I have some time for Q&A if anyone has any questions.
If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. If not, we can just move on. All right.
I've got a quick question. So just we're actually updating our estate plan right now, so this is all very timely. But designating a percentage versus a set value, is there a benefit to either, or does it really matter?
So that's a great question, Ashley. That's really a personal decision. My guidance or my advice usually is a percentage is easier because you never know what your dollars are going to look like on the road. So a percentage is an easier way to make sure that it's flexible if circumstances later change. So I would say percentage or fixed dollar amount, but again, that's a very personal decision.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for your question, Ashley. All right. Well, if there are any other questions, you'll have an opportunity to ask later as well. But we can just move on. Oh.
Oh no. Boo! Quiet. That came from you guys, that one. Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering, oftentimes bequests are a large amount of money and they can go to special projects. Do you have anything special that you're looking to in the future? Like, I know you got a donation and you bought I don't call it ambulance, but a new van for use. Do you have any of those that you're looking to in the future other than just regular costs that that these charitable giving funds might go to?
Al, would you like to take that question?
What's your wish list?
And then I'll finish up your comments. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you answer and then I'll embellish.
Okay. Well, Carrie, we are in a kind of interesting time right now at Pets in Need. We are kind of in the middle of strategic planning for the future of what Pets in Need is going to look like. And as Al mentioned earlier, a lot of what we're planning for in the future is to support other organizations and really become a community resource. So as for specific projects, I think we'll have a lot more information about that within the next year or so, but in terms of supporting specific populations, there's always the large breed dogs, the kittens. That's really our focus right now, are those kind of more special needs populations. And then as we do move on in the future, if we're looking very long term, possibly a new shelter, a new facility, somewhere where we can really accommodate the community resource aspect of Pets in Need. But I'll let you answer if you have more specifics on that.
Wait, can I ask you a question? You said supporting other organizations. What would those be?
Yeah, there are other shelters, Carrie, but what I think the model for Pets in Need moving forward, as Jacqueline pointed out, will be, I refer to us as like an enabling organization. We have very talented behavior staff, for example. We have very talented medical staff. And what we're finding is with our partner shelters, particularly those in lower income communities, they have like virtually no resources, no ability to establish foster programs, no real knowledge about how to deal with behavior cases. So what's happening is capacity in these tiny shelters is what's driving very high euthanasia rates. So what I envision Pets in Need doing is being the organization that not only provides financial support, I mean, we'll do that where we can, but also technical assistance. We'll send our mobile van down to low-income communities and help partner shelters do surgeries, spaying and neutering, provide medical services. So Pets in Need is, the future of Pets in Need I see is, we're going to be the clearinghouse for the support to more shelters around the community, around the state, that serve low-income populations. So that's right, and then that's one part. The other part is, we have 2 shelters, and on an ongoing basis, we just put a new HVAC unit, for example, in our Redwood City facility that costs us about $500,000. So maintaining these two shelters that get, very high levels of work and are used extensively day in and day out is a very high cost item for us, and will continue to be in the future.
Carrie actually dropped off on accident in the middle of your
Well, I'm sure she
spiel,
would have
but
been impressed with that answer. Anyway.
yes. All right. Well, thank you. All right. So yeah, like I said, there will be another opportunity for questions if anything else comes up, but just moving on to the next portion. I guess I will formally introduce myself. I'm Jacqueline. I'm the development manager here at Pets in Need. You've probably all heard from me. And I want to thank everyone again for being here today with us. We really appreciate your support of Pets in Need and for your time and joining us today. So thank you. A little bit of background information on the Legacy Society, which is what we're all here to talk about today. We had known for a while that there were community members that were including Pets in Need in their estate plan, and we felt that it was really important to honor that commitment to Pets in Need, which is why we decided to formally launch the Legacy Society. It really celebrates those donors and provides exclusive opportunities and benefits to anyone who does decide to include Pets in Need in their estate plan. So some of those benefits that are included are an invitation to our annual members luncheon, which will happen when it is safe to gather again, hopefully sometime next year, possibly. Also includes recognition in our annual report, a gift when you enroll, and then also enrollment in our PIN Guardian program, which I know a lot of people are interested in. Basically, that program allows for a safety net for your pets in the event of your passing. It will allow us to take in your pets and give them the very best care possible. So that's pretty much the gist of the Legacy Society. It's very simple to enroll. All you have to do is reach out to me, let me know that you have included Pets in Need in your estate plan, and at that point you will receive a welcome packet. There will be more information on the PIN Guardian program if that's something that you do want to enroll in. And yeah, that's basically it. So very simple, very easy to enroll. And if you have any questions about it, or if you want more information, you can always email me or call me. I'm always open to chatting with you. So with that, we're pretty much wrapping up the presentation. I wanted to thank Jamie again so much for your time here and explaining everything so clearly. She's really an expert, so we're lucky to have her. And if there's any other questions right now, you can feel free to ask them, or you can always just follow up with me. And it looks like Jamie has something else to say.
I don't have a question for myself, but I do want to update our attendees on just some interesting tax legislation that's effective for 2020. And so some of us may have heard about the CARES Act, the coronavirus, something. But it does include some provisions that are beneficial to charitable organizations and to taxpayers, individual taxpayers as well. So this year there is a extra $300 above the line deduction you can take if you're a non-itemizer for gifts you make to charitable organizations. So that's unique to this year. And so that's an extra $300 write-off per filing unit. And then there's also this 100% AGI limitation now for cash contributions to charitable organizations in 2020. So that's cash contributions, not publicly traded securities, not real estate. But this year, if you make a cash contribution of say $100,000 to a charitable organization, let's say your AGI or federal AGI is $100,000, you can write that all off, which is a really incredible opportunity for giving in 2020. And you can also roll forward for 5 years any charitable deduction that you can't use in 2020, but next year it will be subject to the 60% limitation, which is what it typically is. So the government is essentially granting taxpayers an extra 40% deduction for cash contributions in 2020. So just a unique opportunity if you have extra liquidity and are considering charitable gifts and have a tax bill that you need to offset, to consider making a charitable contribution by calendar year end.
So Jamie, that's even if you've hit the standard deduction, you can still go beyond that with charitable donations?
So if you're taking a standard deduction, you can take that $300 above the line. So that's in addition to the standard deduction. The
Okay.
PI limitation is for people who itemize.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Jamie, for that information. Were there any other questions before we wrap this up?
Carrie, you missed my absolutely scintillating response to your question. So
I know. I had to laugh as soon as my computer died. I'm like, oh my God, it had to be when I was asking a question. Everybody noticed. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll cover that. I'll give you the answer offline. You and I can talk about it.
Great. I just want to let everybody know that their big dog program is awesome. My brother saw a dog named Stella online that he really liked in Palo Alto, and he went down there to adopt her. And I called and I said, so what happened? And he goes, well, I have her for a trial. And I said, oh, great. I go, how's it going? He said, well, she's deaf, but she's doing well. And I thought, wow, it must have taken a lot of extra resources to adopt, to bring her in, because she's a hard to adopt out. A lot of people aren't going to want to deal with a deaf dog. So really you put your money where your mouth is.
I think we do.
Great name too, huh, Stella?
Yeah, great name. Perfect.
Okay, so just so everyone knows, we have recorded this session, so we can send it out and you can refer back to it. I know it was kind of a lot of information, but we'll send it out, and we'll also send out some more information just kind of summarizing everything that Jamie said. So thank you all so much again for joining us. And like I said, feel free to email me with any other questions or follow-ups or anything like that. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Be
Keep up
safe.
the good work.